Hey guys, so in this video I want to talk about Legacies episode 11 from season 2. Without further ado, let's begin. This is pretty much the Cupid episode where we have a version of Cupid that's kind of just roaming around the streets shooting people with arrows and causing people to fall in love. He even shoots a person and a dog, so we realize that different arrows do different things, different types of love, things like that. So that was very interesting to see as an opening scene as well. I really liked that there was very little time between when this particular villain and the rest of the characters kind of met him, because usually what ends up happening is you end up having a large confrontation towards the end, but this time you kind of have him being captured very early on. So I really liked that, and the way that it came about too was Landon and Wade just relaxing. Landon basically trying to get Wade to help him jump off a building so that he can try and see if he can fly as well. So that was pretty interesting too, to see that Landon really, really wants to know if he has other powers apart from his resurrection thing, being a phoenix and all. So that was very interesting to see how his brain is kind of working. It's oh, I need to just jump off things and hopefully it'll just appear. I'll have wings or I'll float or whatever. So that was very interesting to see. It was he's very clearly wants to be the guy that other people can count on. He doesn't want to be useless in these types of situations, because pretty much at this point he's just an unkillable human that can't be compelled. Which, not being able to be compelled is pretty useful and everything, but and as is the ability not to die, but we don't know any of the limits of how many, if there's a limit to how many times he can die. Can he die of old age? Is he immortal? We don't know any of that. And with the whole story of the phoenix, why is it that a phoenix is a flaming bird if all he does, well, he emerges from flames when he dies, pretty much. His body burns, turns to stone, and then he emerges, but we don't know if there's any type of limit to that. And if that's the only thing, why is a phoenix considered a fiery bird at all times? That's kind of the general idea that we think of when we think of phoenix. So he's kind of wondering if there's anything else that he can actually do, because he doesn't just want to be the normal person that everyone's trying to protect. So I really liked that mentality from him. And it kind of makes sense for his character. He's pretty awkward and everything like that. And his girlfriend is pretty much the most powerful character in the show. So it kind of makes sense that he doesn't want to feel like the damsel in distress all the time. That was really interesting. He pretty much captures, or no, he doesn't capture. I think it was Hope that finds him and the Cupid together, and she basically just cuts off his wings, which was very, very gruesome, and I was not expecting that. But it kind of makes sense as to if you've been fighting these creatures for months, oh, you might as well just go directly to attacking them, and she just cuts off his wings so he can't get away. Thought that was very interesting to kind of see oh, these children are kind of getting screwed up at this point, because their immediate reaction is to attack whatever comes to their doorstep, even if it's seemingly nice, because there have been a lot of creatures that have been seemingly nice, or have seemed to not have too much ability to attack or things like that, and they just get screwed by it. So it clearly shows a shift in mentality for a lot of these characters. So that was very interesting to see. And then you also know that she's not even really paying attention all that much to what's going on with this, because she's trying to save the Saltzmans, because they're all still trapped in the prison world. And I thought it was very interesting that they didn't actually show them in this episode at all. So yeah, that was also a pretty cool choice to kind of have this side of the story just happen on the real world and everything. So that was also pretty interesting. Beyond that, the whole reveal, or the way that the Cupid ends up tricking Landon, is basically playing on his insecurities, trying to get his trust, and then he just bolts it. And then you find out that he's not actually Cupid, he's one of his siblings, trying to find out how to defeat him and everything. And the way Landon goes about doing this is kind of ridiculous, because he kind of puts every single type of poison to any of Cupid's siblings into his body, like he ingests all of them. And then when the creature kills him, cuts out his heart, eats it, he gets killed. So that was a very, very crazy and interesting way to go about that. So yeah, I thought it was like very cool to see the whole thing with like Landon being like, "Oh, I can't help in any of these situations. All I can do is die." And that's actually what he uses to defeat the monster this week. He gets himself killed and then gets resurrected because he can't die. Um, and that's like sounds like the most ridiculously stupid and self-destructive thing, but it actually works because I mean it kind of makes sense. Um, which really is not great because he doesn't have the best mental stability, or he didn't in the beginning of the season. So I don't know. It's very crazy to see that that's something that he went to and was willing to do to help other people. But like, it's also very self-destructive. So I hope they go over that a little bit more in the future. Um, yeah, because very clearly, like, there are other people around him, and like, Hope has to watch him die and get his heart eaten, like right in front of her. So like, this is kind of crazy, like the way that all of this happened. So hopefully there's like some more not repercussions, but like he either has to like realize what his powers actually are so that he doesn't default to like getting himself killed, or he has to actually be a little bit more tactful with the way that he does this, because that's like just a crazy sight to see for people. Like, you just see someone walk up to a magical creature and be like, "Oh, kill me. I've poisoned myself with your arrow. Eat my heart because it'll be great." Like, what? So that was very interesting. I hope that there's like some level of I don't know like what they could do, but like either make him very self-destructive later on, or they have to give him powers. Like, that's really the only way to go about it. So we'll just have to wait and see for that. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to say for this episode. There wasn't too much, but the last thing is, of course, that Landon and Hope, when they kiss, Landon actually hovers into the air, which I was like, oh, okay, there's no fire, but sure, I guess you're just floating. Um, so yeah, that was very interesting. That was a nice way to like end the episode, where it starts with him being like, "Oh, I need to learn how to fly," and it ends with him flying. So yeah, that was a pretty cool like book-ended way to do that. Um, yeah, and I do believe the necromancer took the body of the of Pothos. We're just gonna have to wait and see what he does with that. If I'm wrong, I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure he did that. Um, yeah, I'm very curious to know what he does with these corpses, because he's taken a few bodies, I think, at this point. Um, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. Like, is he gonna resurrect them? And like at the end of the season, are we gonna have a giant army of creatures that like we've faced off against, but now they're all at the same time? So we'll just have to wait and see about that. So overall, like, I thought this episode was really well done. It was a nice exploration to see that like Landon does have some more powers that we just haven't seen yet. And yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see as to what they do going forward. I'll see you guys in the next one, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, bye.